here. Hey everyone. Happy Saturday. Hope everyone's doing okay. I'm happy to bring you our 6th piano lesson in my COVID-19 Adults and Teens virtual piano lesson series. I'm glad you're here. I would love for you to do a few things before we get started though. If you're joining us today, if you don't mind hitting the share button in the bottom corner of your screen, that will help let everybody know that it's time for piano. Next, make a note that I am on YouTube for you to watch and re-watch these lessons as many times as you need. Just search Izzy Chia and you'll find my channel, okay? The third thing is I have a private group. So if you're taking these lessons and following along, put your request in to join my private group called Encore Music Makers, and I provide one-on-one feedback. So if you want to get that interaction from me and get some extra support from your classmates, then go ahead and join the group, okay? And lastly, if you haven't ordered your book, it's definitely time to do that. I'm not able to post any more digital files because the agreement that I made with the publisher has expired. So go ahead and put that order in for your book. That way you can follow along with us, okay? All right, I'm happy to be here. Okay, let's get started. For this week, we are reviewing Jingle Bells, Brother John, and Here's a Happy Song, right? Yes. I hope everyone got some good practice in. All right, so I'm going to turn to Jingle Bells. All right. Jingle Bells is on page, let's see, I think it's on page 31. Oh no, it's on page 30, okay? So go ahead and turn to page 30 in your book, okay? I'll switch to piano view. And I'm going to find my C position, everyone, okay? So I have my right hand thumb on middle C. I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3 notes from middle C, and that's where my left hand thumb goes, okay? All right, excellent. So starting here at the beginning of Jingle Bells, we have no repeats. We have a nice strong forte, and we are beginning with a finger 3 in my right hand and a harmonic 5th in your left. Okay, so let's count off. 1, 2, ready, play. All right, so how did it go? Did you manage to get all the way through that? Bravo, that was fantastic. Yes, that was the 2nd week of Jingle Bells, so by now we should really have it nice and solid, okay? I'm super proud of you guys. All right, let's keep going. All right, we also had Brother John and Here's a Happy Song. These are both located on page 33, okay? So turn to your book. Page 33. Now, the special thing about Brother John and Here's a Happy Song is it had the introduction of the C major chord, or as we like to call it, a harmonic triad, right? Because it's consisting of 3 notes. The first tone is your root, the middle tone is a 3rd above that, and then your 5th. Okay, so those 3 notes. All right, so starting with Brother John, we notice here that the dynamics are a little bit different, okay? We've got a piano to begin this piece, and then in the 2nd line, we have a nice strong forte, okay? So let's make sure that we can communicate that in our music, okay? This song does not have repeats. Okay, so let's find your C position. I have my right hand there, and there is my left hand, okay? Are you there? Wonderful. Okay, so let's start with a nice soft piano, okay? I'll count off. 1, 2, ready, play. Forte. All right, so that was Brother John. Did you manage to get through that one too? Yeah, it was a really great song. I like the call and answer feel of that song, right? It's kind of like if you imagine two brothers, right? The little brother is like, "Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping?" Right? And then in the second line, he's like, "Ugh, just wake up already, big brother." And he starts yelling, "Time for breakfast." It's just kind of funny. All right, wonderful job on Brother John. Now, to round out our songs from last week, let's play through Here's a Happy Song, okay? Now, this one's really interesting because it switched, right? Our harmonic chords are now located in the right hand instead of the left hand. So be mindful of that as you're playing through it, okay? All right, let's see how we do. This one does have a repeat, I see. All right, it looks like the whole song is just a nice strong forte. All right, let's find our spot. Okay, so there's my right hand, and there is my left hand, right? Excellent. We're going to start with our left hand finger 1, nice and strong forte, okay? I'm going to count off. 1, 2, ready, play. That was actually kind of fun. I did kind of like a little bit louder at the end there with that right hand chord. But it was fun. I liked it. So I hope you enjoyed that, right? Here's a Happy Song was a pretty cool song. So there you go. Those are the 3 songs that you had to practice for last week, and you have officially passed them. So give yourself a pat on the back. There's my pat. And then there's another one, right? Wonderful work, guys. Okay, so we have some really cool stuff going on this week for this week's songs, okay? I want you to turn the page in your book. And we're gonna look at page 34, okay? At the top of that page, it says, introducing B for the left hand. Okay, this is really interesting, okay? Because introducing B, you're like, okay, well, I don't have 6 fingers on my left hand, right? You have 5. So what we're gonna have to do is give pinky finger 5 another job, right? So we play our pinky finger 5 on C, but you can also stretch it down just a little bit more to the B, okay? Let me show you in piano view. All right. Okay, so let me find my spot for my left hand. There's my G, so I'm gonna put my thumb there. I'm gonna stretch out my fingers, And notice, there's my pinky 5 on C, right? If I stretch it just a hair, I can reach that B, okay? That B is going to be really important because it's the building blocks of teaching us another very important chord in our music, okay? There is a practice line there of music that I would love to play through, okay? It starts with the C chord that we already know, the C major chord. All right, I'm going to count it off and I'm going to play that line slowly. It does have a repeat, so listen carefully. 1, 2, ready, play. C, E, G, hold, and B, F, G, hold, C, E, G, hold, stretch to B, F, and G, hold, repeat. C, E, G, hold, B, F, G, hold, C, E, G, hold, B, F, G, hold. There you go. You learned those 2 important chords. Now, I hope you noticed something, right? These are chords, right? But notice we're playing each note individually. Right? So what do we know about playing chords with each note individually? They're melodic chords, right? We learned that a couple weeks ago, right? So we can play melodic chords, individual notes, the building blocks of those chords, or we can play them at the same time. Those are called harmonic chords. Yeah, you probably remember that. Very good. Okay, so looking there in the middle of page 34, it talks about those 2 important chords that I just mentioned. The C major chord and what they now call the G7 chord. Okay, the G7 chord. The building blocks of that chord are the notes that we played up above in that practice line. B, F, G. Okay? Here's what our C major chord sounds like. And here is what our G7 chord sounds like when it's played harmonically. Listen carefully. Interesting, huh? Yeah, a big difference in the sound. Let's switch to piano view so you can see that in harmonic form, okay? Now, here's that C chord again. Listen carefully and watch. And then let's switch to the G7 chord. There it is. All right. Excellent work. Okay, so that is what's super important about those 2 chords. It's super cool because these are 2 very, very popular chords found in modern pop music, right? You see that in jazz, you see that in pop, you see it in country music. You see these chords all the time, right? And sometimes when you look at your actual music, you can see the letters printed above a measure of music, like it says C, right? So look over here at page 35. You'll notice that the next song is called Merrily We Roll Along, and underneath the tempo marking of Merrily, you'll see a C right there, and it has an asterisk next to it. Let me show you real quick. I'll show you right here. Do you see that C written right there? And it has the star. Basically, what that is telling you is that's the chord's name in pop music. Okay, if you see that, you know that the chord being used in that measure, whether melodically or harmonically, is a C chord. So you have the freedom to play any of the notes that are located in that chord. Okay, when it switches here, where it says G7, what do you know? You can use all of the notes of the G7 chord, and the notes that were in that one were B, F, and G. Do you see how this is working out? You could probably see some of it in some of the pop music that might be laying around or you come across. You'll see those letters and number combinations, and they'll start to make a little bit of sense, okay? Now, enough with that. let's see if we can learn our next two songs for this week, okay? Now, we have Merrily We Roll Along, and we also have a song called Largo, okay? So, we have a pink box at the top of page 35, and that's teaching us a new concept, okay? This concept is something that's super important, okay? It says, when notes on the same line or space are joined with a curved line, we call them tied notes, okay? So on the staff, if you see a note and right next to it is the exact same note connected by a curved line, those are called tied notes, okay? What you do is you add up the value of those two notes and you hold it down for that entire amount of time, okay? Let's take a look at that. You basically combine the value of the notes together, all right? So it says here there's a random quarter note, right? Or not a quarter note, a whole note, and they tied it to another whole note. What do we know about whole notes? Whole notes are 4 beats long, right? So if we have 4 beats tied to another 4 beats, how many beats total do we have? We have 8 beats total, okay? So you need to be able to count all the way up to 8 beats before you let that note go, all right? So let's take a look at Merrily We Roll Along. Now I see a C triad right there, a C major chord tied in my left hand. And I see the melody line in the right hand, starting on a finger 3, which is an E, okay? And then it changes to that G7 chord in my left and back to a C chord. Let's see how this song goes, okay? Let's switch to piano view. All right, let's find our spot. Okay, so I'm there with my right hand. I've counted down my 3 notes, and there is my left hand. Now I am playing a nice piano, and I'm starting with my right hand finger 3 on E, okay? I'm gonna count off fairly slowly so we get this, okay? 1, 2, ready, play. Hold it with that left hand, good. 3, hold, now it switches to a D and a G7. Good, back to the C chord. Up to G, yes. Hold. Now back to the regular melody. It's tied, good. Hold, now a D with the G7 chord. D, back to the C chord. 2, 3, 4. How did you do? That was really tricky, huh? Yes, I think that the tied note, sometimes in our brains, we see the chord printed again, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna play it again. We forget that there's actually a tied symbol there. So we have to be able to not play that second chord. So sometimes in my music, in order to remind myself that it's a tied note, sometimes I X out and put an arrow going through that second chord so I don't play it again, right? So if you see that in your tied note in your music, you can definitely do that if it helps, okay? Let's see if we can play it through once more, because I don't want to leave you hanging with just one time. That's not enough. Let's try it again. All right. Okay, so I have found my right hand spot. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and there's my left hand spot. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to count off nice and slowly. 1, 2, ready, play. Tied. Good, switch to G7. Hold, good. think that was really, really great, okay? It helps to play it again, doesn't it? The first time you always see a song, you're like, oh my gosh, this is really hard. But remember, the more that you play it, the easier it's going to get for you, okay? Don't ever worry about that, all right? Okay, so that was our first song we're going to be practicing, okay? Merrily We Roll Along, page 35, okay? Now, the second song we're going to practice is called Largo, and it is located at the bottom of page 35, okay? Let's look for some clues here. Okay, so it says, okay, so it's from the New World Symphony, which is cool. It's written by Dvorak, very nice composer, and it says slow, so we're not going to be pushing the tempo too much on here, okay? It's 4/4 time, so we're going to be doing 4 beats a measure. We have a C triad or a C major chord right there at the beginning for the left hand, and we're going to hold it, looks like for 8 whole beats, okay? The melody again is located in the right hand for this one, okay? All right. No repeats in this one either. Yeah, it looks to be pretty straightforward, okay? You let me know if it's any tricky stuff for you, okay? Let's switch to piano view so we can find our spot. Excellent. Okay, so I have found my right hand C position. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and then there's my left hand. All right, so we're starting at the beginning, nice and slow, largo. Okay, I'll count off. 1, 2, ready, play. Tied, G7 chord, skip up to G, back to E, and tied, D, 2, 3, 4, back to C chord. 1, 2, tied, G7, and a C chord, 2, 3, 4. All right. What did you think about that one? Was it okay? It kind of surprised me with the G7 tied at the second half of the first line. It got a little bit confusing there for me as well in the melody line because there was some interesting jumping going on, right? We had a melodic second as well as a melodic third, but it wasn't in the spot that I was anticipating. So we have to pay close attention to that, right? Yes. Okay, let's see if we can play it through once more, okay? I want to make sure that I have no surprises and that we're able to really help the melody line stand out. I find that I'm playing the chord much louder than the actual melody, and it should be the opposite. It's notated here that the chord is going to be played piano, but look, there's another dynamic sign right above it. So that means that the right hand melody is a mezzo forte. So as you're practicing, give your right hand a chance to shine, right? To be that star. And the left hand is sort of like the backup, right? You don't want the backup to overpower the melody line, okay? I'm having that issue currently, so let's see if we can control the left hand a little bit more to give a chance for the right hand to stand out, okay? All right, let's switch to piano. Okie dokie. Let me find my C position. There we are with the right hand. Let's count down 1, 2, 3 notes. There's that G, and I'll fan out my fingers. Okay, remember, this one's a slow one. We don't want to go too quickly. And make sure that that left hand chord, although it's a harmonic chord, doesn't overpower the right hand melody. Okay, let's count off. 1, 2, ready, play. Switch to G7, tied, 2, 3, 4, Okay, I had a little bit better control of the left hand, but then I found myself playing the right hand even louder. That's gonna be an issue, but that's okay, right? The more that we play it, I think the more of a better idea we will have to control those dynamics as we're playing, okay? And don't forget, on Mondays, I hop on here at 11 a.m. Central Time, and I do a practice with me session. So if you're finding that you're having a little bit of trouble at the piano practicing your songs without guidance, I like to provide these sessions in order for you to make the most of that practice time that you get at the piano, okay? Think of it as like a bonus, right? And you have the luxury of being able to replay the practice sessions multiple times so that you do achieve the goal of getting these songs in really good positions, right? All right, so there you go. You've got Merrily We Roll Along, and we have Largo, right? We learned today the two important chords, the C major chord, which is the triad, root, C, E, and G. We also learned the G7 chord, right, in the left hand. And that includes shifting your pinky down just a hair to reach the B, and including your finger 2 F and finger 1 G. That G7 chord, as well as the C major chord, are super popular in popular music, country music, R&B. I mean, you encounter these two chords very frequently. So you'll be able to transfer them to any other song that you're learning, right? We do have theory this week. You got a break last week, but you do have theory this week. So let's turn to page 38, okay? Yes, page 38, everybody. It says the G7 chord for left hand, right? There it is. Okay, so on page 38, you will be reviewing the G7 chord for your left hand. Remember that it consists of 3 notes, the B, F, and G, okay? Remember, we're just focusing on the left hand for this one, okay? It goes over the construction of it. It also goes over how easy it is to switch from a C major chord to a G7 chord, okay? You also notice that there is a common tone between the two chords, and that note itself is the G, right? You have a G in both the C major chord and the G7 chord, so lucky you. Your finger 1 is getting used for both of them. Now, for number 2, 3, and 4, it has a big list here of harmonic chords. So make sure that you're labeling them correctly, okay? If it helps to play the chords as you're going through it, I would definitely suggest that, okay? And lastly, you have basically a explanation or a little bonus question at the end there for number 5 and 6 that goes over the tied notes, right? And you remember tied notes is you're adding up the value of the 2 notes or 2 chords as long as they're the same ones, right? So if it's a C connected to a C with a curved line, you know it's a tie, okay? You add that value together, okay? Wonderful. Well, y'all are just rocking and rolling, all right? There you go. All right, so little quick thing, of course, I'm accepting tips. So if you want to help keep these lessons going, please consider giving me a little tip. I'm accepting PayPal. My email is encoremusichtx@gmail.com. Also accept Venmo. My username is Izzy Chia. And lastly, I also accept Cash App, and my username is IZZI3CH3A. Thank you so much for letting me say that. Lastly, we have our music quote, right? So I think I got a pretty good one for you today. Now this one is just a quote from Anonymous. I didn't really have an actual person that was giving credit for this, so I just want you to sit with it. Let's see what you think about it. Music is the art of thinking with sounds. Yeah, that's actually true, right? So whatever you're thinking, you can put it to music, right? You can plink something out of the piano or on the flute or strum something out on a guitar, right? Yeah, it's sort of like putting your thoughts to music. So you sit with that one, okay? All right, thanks for joining me today for lessons. Remember, Monday is practice with me. Don't forget to share this video. Don't forget to subscribe. I appreciate all the support that I've been getting. I'm happy to bring this to you week after week. Okay? Thanks for tuning in. Take care.